And it's Heather Cooper playing with paper crafting, my regular Monday morning live. And today we are doing a vintage session here with a hand-colored sepia. If you recall the like old-fashioned photos that are sort of sepia colored, and they have been hand colored. That's what they used to do in the old days. And if they wanted to get any kind of color into their photographs, they used to hand color them. And they obviously looked a bit fake, but that's the best they had at that time. But that's kind of the effect that I'm going for with this card here. So we're using a stamp set called Soar Confidently. This is from the mini catalog, January to June mini catalog. And it's kind of stuck away at the back, so it's not one you may have noticed at first because it is not part of a big suite or anything. This is great though for masculine kind of cards that you might want to create, and it caught my eye because I'm a person that kind of likes to create vintage masculine cards. So it was one that I got a little bit later on in the ordering period, but and this is actually the first time I've used it, but thinking towards Father's Day and masculine birthdays and that kind of thing. So I want to get started and show you how to create the vintage hand-colored sepia look that, or sepia, how do you pronounce that, look that you see here. All right, so we'll get started with that. So we're starting with crumb cake, which is the background, either that or soft suede, that I always use when I am going for a vintage look. So we'll fold that. Okay, and World of Good Specialty Designer Series paper is retiring, to my great sadness, because I love that paper, especially for masculine cards. But I'm going to add that to this backing here. I'm going to use some liquid multi-purpose glue here, Tombow, for those of you who like to call it that, which is, for economy's sake, probably your best bet. It goes a long way. And another benefit of it is that it allows you to get everything straight before it's stuck in place. Now I'm going to, when I'm making vintage cards, everything gets sponged. After this catalog, you're not going to be able to buy Stampin' Sponges anymore, so you might want to stock up on those. You could probably use your blending brushes for this. It's just that you can't do that flick with your blending brushes that you can with sponges, and doing it on the edges with your blending brushes might not be so good for them. So I'm thinking you might want to stock up on those Stampin' Sponges. They do last for quite a while, so if you get a few of them and you can cut them into small wedges, they'll last you a long time. Okay, so that was just a little bit. Now I'm just going to set those aside for now because I want to make all the different panels that I need. So I'm just going to, this is another strip of the World of Goods Designer Series paper, Specialty Designer Series paper. This is, oh, by the way, all the materials and measurements will be listed on my blog at playingwithpapercrafting.com. And they'll be in there this morning, so easy to find. Okay, so we'll add some more Tombow here. This is, the paper color is Misty Moonlight, and the accents are brass foil. Okay, and then once more, we're going to add some sponging around the edges. This sponge, I think I've had it since I started being a demonstrator or before, but I think it's starting to wear out a wee bit, so I think I'm going to take my own advice and stock up on some sponges before May 3rd. May 3rd is the last day that you can order retiring products, and keep your eye on the supply list, and because some of these things are only good while supplies last. If they sell out, then you're out of luck. Okay, I wanted to show you a little trick, a little hack. I've showed you some of you this before, but I wanted to show you how I got this little knot tied already, waiting to just go around my panel here. I'm going to put it on first and then I'll show you the hack. Okay, so I'm just going to add some Stampin' Snail here. So I'm going to add a few little bits of it along the edges here, and then I want to flip that knot so that it's on top here, kind of in the middle, and center that and attach it on that side, and make that fairly tight but not too tight, and tight enough so that I can straighten that out. And then I'm going to add it to my piece here. I think I'll just use Stampin' Seal. All right, so now I'm just adding this to my top panel, and we'll add it to the card base in a bit. Okay, so now I just want to show you that, and this will all straighten out flat when I add this to the card base. So I'll show you that hack. What we need is the braided linen trim, which is another thing that's retiring that, if you like, you'll want to pick up a little bit of extra before it goes, it's long gone. I'm going to use a D block for that because it's 5¼ inches, or just about 5¼ inches, the long way on a card. So what we're going to do is use the slightly longer length of the D block. Okay, we're going to tie a knot around the slightly longer length. Okay, and to make it lie flat along the length of the cord, I'm going to do a reef knot the way I learned in Girl Guides. Okay, so I'm taking the right one, folding it over the left one and tucking it under, and now that becomes the left. So I'm going to fold the right one back like this, the left one over top and under, and then tighten it up like that. It's a little less tight than I wanted it, but it doesn't matter, because what we're going to do then is we're going to clip the back right in the middle, like so, and then we can trim these little pieces. We could have done that too while it was still on the block. Make them tidy, about the same length. I'll make this one a little bit smaller. Get rid of those. And then we have a nice tidy piece that we can add to our card. Now the benefits of doing it this way are, first of all, that we're saving ribbon or trim. We don't have to do all the way around that piece of paper or that cardstock. Secondly, we have a nice solid base to tie it against, and also we can decide where we want to trim it. So if we want the knot near the top, let's say, if we've got it tied here, and we want that knot near, let's say we want it the knot near the top, we would just trim it up here rather than in the middle back here. Okay, so there's a lot of things you can do with that. Anyway, it's kind of handy to be able to do them like that. I do all my knots like that before I add them to my card. Okay, let's get on with the main show here. Okay, so this is how we do the colorized versions of the sepia look. Okay, so we're going to start with our balloon, and I'm going to stamp the balloon image in soft suede. Make sure I get it all inked up properly and stamped more or less in the middle. I'm going to make sure I get all those fine lines stamped on there. Okay. Now I'm going to take my watercolor pencils. This one is the assortment 2, watercolor pencil assortment 2, which you can still get. And all these little stripes here, I'm going to use the Night of Navy and just lightly color those in. Typically in those old hand-colored photos, and they were the Sepia or Sepia, not sure how you pronounce that. They were very muted colors. So we're not going to really make them intense. We're just going to lightly color those in, enough so that you can see that they are colored. And then I want to do the stars, cherry cobbler color. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly go over those. I'll bring that in a little bit closer so that you can see the details a little bit better. Okay, now there's two ways of doing this next step. For this next step, we're going to make it look a little bit more sepia. So we can either use a very dry water painter. I've got an aqua painter. I kind of prefer those, but you can't get them anymore, but you can get a water painter. So basically I'm just going to go over and just take the lines from the stamped image, the ink, the water that's in this fairly dry water painter or aqua painter. And I don't want to make it too wet, but it just basically what it does is just spreads out the soft suede in that. Okay, and I'll use the blender pen, which is the other way of doing this. I'll use it on the other image. We can compare the results. So basically I'm just going over the balloon and the basket with this. Okay, I'll just clean that off. And then I'm going to sponge it, okay? Okay, and this sponging is really what gives you that old vintage sepia look here. Make sure you get the edges. You want the edges fairly dark. Okay. Hope that's okay, that I didn't take it out too far, but my field of vision was getting pretty small there. Okay, so that basically is part one. So I'm going to just add this to, I'll just use some seal here, stamp and seal, to add it to the backing. And again, you'll find the measurements for all these pieces on my blog at playingwithpapercrafting.com. Okay, and then this one is going to add to this top layer. And again, if you ever had trouble with the seal, just run it along a silicone craft sheet and that'll get it running really well for you. Okay, I'm just going to center that along the bottom. Okay, and now we'll do the last one. So I'm going to use the airship. And again, I'm going to use soft suede ink to, excuse my head here, it's a very small piece and I want to make sure I get it all on there. There we go. Could have been up a wee bit, but not bad. So I'm just going to basically color that in with the cherry cobbler. And I'm just going to color in those stripes that we have along here. Okay, so now we're going to try out the blender pen and just see how that works. the blender pen is filled with it's kind of dry. Well, that's better. Okay. So we're just going to use the blender pen to pull the ink or move the ink from the stamped image into the center of the image. And I'm going to try and keep a line in the center of the image to make it look a little bit like there's a bit of shine in the middle there. We'll do the basket. There's a propeller there. You can still see the stamped lines. I don't know if there's any advantage compared to my sample, which I did with the aqua painter. You can compare them and see. Yeah, I think maybe I prefer it with the aqua painter or the water painter. It's a little more delicate, I think. Okay, next part is sponging. Okay, and now we'll attach this to the backing. A couple little lines of adhesive. Okay, and then something I didn't do the other one but could have would be to add a little more sponging even to the backing. And some more adhesive. And we'll line that one up with the one below, the panel below. And there we have those main panels. All that's left is the sentiment. Okay, I was looking for my adhesive. I'm going to make sure I've got lots of it on here because I want this panel to lie flat. There we go. Okay, so we'll take our card base and we'll center it on the card base. There we go. And we're going to stamp our sentiment, which is also from the Soar Confidently. In fact, it says Soar Confidently into your own sky. I kind of like that. Make sure I've got it inked up well. This one I found it catches the edges quite a bit, so just check before you stamp. Clean up those edges. Okay, might need my head in there again. Hope for the best. All right, it's good. See, there even was an edge, even though I tried to clean it up there. Okay, so we'll just clean that edge up with some sponging. Yay for sponging. And then we're going to add some dimensionals to the back. If you check out my blog this morning, you'll see an example of a vintage hand-colored sepia photograph. Okay, and I'm just going to, this could go anywhere you want it, but it just seems to balance properly when I put it down here. So just set that over top of everything. And there's our card for the day. Okay, see you next Monday for my Monday morning Facebook Live. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.